Okay, so it looks like we have a nice sized crowd that's joining us this evening. So we want to go ahead and get started. I want to introduce myself. I want to welcome everybody to this virtual open house to discuss the US 101 Blossom Hill Road Interchange improvement. I'm excited. This is actually my first virtual community meeting, which is very unique for these times. So bear with me as I fumble through all the nuances of the technology age when I'm used to just walking around and handshaking and handing the mic over to people. So this is going to be a little new to me as well. My name is David Lovato, and I am the public communications specialist with VTA. And like I said, today we're going to be sharing the upcoming construction for the 101 Blossom Hill Interchange project. And we want to just remind everybody that all the attendees right now are on mute because we want to make sure that we get through this presentation as swiftly as possible, because we want to make sure we allot as much time as possible for attendees and community members that are going to be within the work zone to ask and get answers as many questions as possible for this project. So if you're joining us through the internet, smartphone, or your desktop, when we get to the ask and answer section, you'll just want to toggle down to the raise your hand on the webinar controls, and we'll be able to unmute you so you can ask your question and we can hopefully provide an answer. If you're joining us on your touchtone phone, you'll want to dial *9 to raise your hand, and then *6 to unmute yourself. So I'll remind you when we get to that portion of the presentation. And I do want to just remind everyone that this presentation is being recorded because we want to be able to provide this presentation on the project webpage, as well as anyone that did miss this presentation. We're going to be able to email all of our subscribers a copy of this presentation. So I wanted to quickly introduce our panelists who are going to be presenting the construction information. We're going to have Neil Ong with the City of San Jose, as well as Bill Wagner with HMH, to kind of discuss the project background, where we were to get to this point before the shovel hits the dirt. Ray Bolaño with VTA, as well as Imani Hismagi with Municon West Coast Inc. We'll talk about kind of what to expect and kind of construction mitigations. And Ray is also going to be sharing the construction schedule. And then I'm going to wrap it up as far as the type of communication you're going to be receiving from VTA throughout this construction period. And of course, at the end, we will open it up to discussions with our attendees. So first and foremost, a quick little VTA 101. You know, when we think VTA, we think buses and light rail. So what's VTA doing with highway construction? So this wheel shows all the ways that VTA is working and touching every part of transportation in Santa Clara County. VTA is an independent special district, and we are governed by a board of directors. The board is made up of representatives throughout the county and your council members and county supervisors. VTA's core transit service are buses and light rail and paratransit services for seniors and those with disabilities. And as you can imagine, pre-COVID times, we have roughly 85,000 bus boardings on a weekday with about 67 routes that stretch throughout Santa Clara County. We have 5 fully electric buses with plans to add several more to our fleet of more than 400 buses in the near future. For our light rail service, we see more than 27,000 boardings per weekday, and we have about 61 light rail stations, which are scattered throughout Santa Clara County. And we have added a 3rd light rail this year. That's the Orange Line, which is direct service from Alm Rock to Mountain View, connecting with Milpitas BART Station. Our paratransit service is provided to individuals who are not able to use conventional transit services. And VTA constructs transit facilities and projects like BART. You know, we just opened the Berryessa and Milpitas stations this June of this year, as well as BRT opened in 2016. and we're beginning the Eastridge to BART light rail extension in East San Jose shortly. VTA is also responsible for congestion management, which is why we're here speaking with you tonight. So VTA also funds and builds highway interchange projects. We partner with Caltrans, the county, and cities within the county. This also includes pedestrian and bicycle improvement projects. Again, that's kind of why we're here and this project tonight. So VTA also has a transit-oriented development program. So now, without further ado, I will turn the time over to Neil with the City of San Jose's Department of Transportation, and Bill Wagner, principal with HMH, to share the background on this project.
All right. Thanks, David, and the rest of VTA's team for organizing this. And thank you to everyone in attendance to learn about this very exciting project. Again, I am Neil Ong with the City of San Jose Department of Transportation Regional Project Delivery Team. My group includes Zahir Gazada, who is the division manager of both the local and regional project delivery team, and Bill Wagner, who is our lead design consultant from HMH. Our group, in collaboration with Caltrans and VTA, led the US 101 Blossom Hill project through the environmental and design phase. Next slide, please. Thank you. For those unfamiliar with the project, Blossom Hill Road is a key east-west connector between job locations, housing, commercial and retail development, schools, and recreational opportunities in South San Jose. In San Jose's 2040 general plan, adopted in 2011, we expressed commitment to a balanced transportation system, emphasizing transit, bicycle, and pedestrian travel modes on major arterials such as Blossom Hill Road. This project is a top priority for the city and is included as part of the city's Edenvale Area Development Policy to improve traffic operations along Blossom Hill and to add a Class 1 bicycle pedestrian path through the interchange, as will be further discussed by Bill. This project will be one of the first highway projects in San Jose to use the Santa Clara County voter-approved 2016 Measure B tax measure, which is managed by VTA. Now that you know a little bit of background of the project, Bill Wagner of HMH will provide more details of the technical aspects of this project.
Thank you, Neil. We will move away from this slide. We do have some blow-ups where we're going to talk a little bit more detail about some of the features. But if we need to during questions, we can come back and look at this slide if there's any questions related to it. David, how about the next slide? Just to sort of summarize how we got where we are, HMH has been working on this project for over 4 years. But the project actually began a lot earlier than that. Originally, studies were done around the year 2000 in conjunction with the expanded Edenville area to upgrade the interchange. But as the city general plan and Edenville area development policy evolved, it was modified to include bicycle and pedestrian facilities consistent with the general plan. And the most recent update of the area development policy, which included this project, I think was amended in about 2014. So it was a couple of years after that we began initial studies. November of 2016 was a big milestone because that was when County Measure B passed, which identified the Blossom Hill Road improvements as one of the specific projects that would be funded by that funding. So as Neil said, that was a major milestone to provide complete funding for the project to accompany other funds that the city had already had in place. We moved forward with the technical studies that support the environmental document, looking at all of the different potential environmental impacts, and wrapped up the environmental document in early 2018. And began the actual detailed design at that point. There's a number of design submittals throughout the PS&E process, as we call it. And it took about 2 years to complete them, which is typical for a large, complicated project of this nature. Plans were completed and approved by Caltrans and by the city in March of 2020. Remember that most of these improvements are within Caltrans right away, and we have to address all the Caltrans requirements and meet all Caltrans standards for everything built within their facility. The plans were used for bidding in May of 2020, and the contract was awarded in late May to O.C. Jones and Sons Incorporated, who I believe are here as part of our panel tonight. Next step is beginning of construction, and our construction people and contractor will talk a little bit more about that in the project. Throughout this process, we've had other outreach meetings. We had 2 or 3 meetings during the early phase of the project, the environmental documents, and have had a project website providing updates online for a little bit over 2 years. Moving on, David. Next slide. To quickly kind of summarize why we are building this project, we talked a little bit about the background, but defining the purpose for the improvements is a major key element that kind of leads to the engineering solutions that we end up with. And for this project, there were 2 purposes that were identified to improve traffic operations along Blossom Hill Road and the freeway ramps. And this has been accomplished by adding turning lanes at the 2 intersections where the off-ramps intersect Blossom Hill Road that can be very congested during peak hours. Presently, in order to make the turning lanes work along Blossom Hill Road, we're also widening Blossom Hill Road to 3 lanes in the westbound direction and 4 lanes eastbound, one of which is a dedicated lane to the northbound loop on-ramp, one of the more heavily traveled movements at the interchange. The second kind of co-equal purpose of the project was to improve accommodations for pedestrians and bicycles along Blossom Hill Road. And we're very excited about the solution that provides a separated bike and pedestrian facility from Monterey Road to Coyote Road, a distance of over 3,000 feet. And within this entire length, bicyclists and pedestrians won't have to cross signalized intersections, excepting at the ends of that distance. Because if you're familiar with that area, you recognize that sidewalks are narrow, ramp traffic is very high speed, and it's kind of scary to have to walk across some of those existing crosswalks. And we recognize that there's a lot of recreational traffic back and forth to the Coyote Creek Park and Shady Oaks Park, and that there's a lot of the houses on the east side of Blossom Hill Road. All the students from those areas attend schools on the west side, so there's potential for a lot of children, walking or biking to school as well. So we, in addition to a separated path, which is separated along Blossom Hill Road by a concrete barrier, we're also building an undercrossing to go under 2 of the ramps and an overcrossing to go over one of the ramps, as we'll describe a little bit further, starting on the next few slides. Go ahead, David. Thank you. This is a blow up of the left end of that large view, the east end of the project, which includes the connections to Monterey Road and Xander's Crossing existing pedestrian overcrossing. And on this image, Blossom Hill Road is in the lower left, crossing over Monterey, which runs kind of from left to lower right in this diagram. The project starts near the red line, which is the existing Xander's pedestrian overcrossing, and it includes new pedestrian and bicycle improvements along the frontage of Monterey Road to widen out the very narrow sidewalk underneath the overcrossing. So everything in green on here is a separate 12-foot wide bicycle and pedestrian facility that's dedicated only for use by bikes and peds. At the intersection with the connector to the north, we do use we modify the existing signal to upgrade it to include current state-of-the-art technology for bikes and peds crossings. And then from there, the path following the green line in the top of the image runs along the edge of Blossom Hill Road up toward the 101 interchange. Jump to the next slide, David. I think this one's out of order. Could we flip back one or forward one? Yeah, I want to talk about this one first. This image picks up where we left off in the last one. It's the intersection of Blossom Hill Road with the southbound off-ramp. 101 is to the upper right of this picture. So that the green stripe of the bike path beginning at the left edge of the project at this point drops down from being in the same elevation as Blossom Hill Road. It goes under the southbound off-ramp and under the southbound loop on-ramp. And then it rises gently up to the same elevation as Blossom Hill Road on the far right of this diagram. As I discussed, there's turning lanes added at the intersection to improve operations. And one of the other features that is included in the project, or other features that are included in the project, include architectural treatment on the structures and slope paving and extensive landscaping. And David, if you could jump back to the slide that we had before, that one, yeah. These are some preliminary kind of renderings and architectural, 3D images of some of the treatments just to kind of give you a little bit of a flavor of what it's going to look like. David, let's move forward a couple slides. After crossing over Blossom Hill Road, the path across Blossom Hill Road, or excuse me, the path across 101 will be on the existing bridge over Route 101 on the north edge. A barrier will be added and the sidewalk pedestrian area will be widened to 11.5, 12 feet in that area to provide better accommodations. But when we get to the east end of the bridge, the path then will go over the northbound on-ramp on a brand new truss type structure. And right now, those facilities are about the same elevation. So that what we need to do to accomplish this is to actually lower the on-ramp and build a retaining wall between Blossom Hill Road and the on-ramp and additional walls and structures to carry the bike path from the truss structure over the ramp down to grade near Coyote Creek, or excuse me, near Coyote Road. At Coyote Road, there are at-grade crossings both of Coyote Road and across Blossom Hill Road. They're updated again to the latest technology for bikes and pedestrians. There's actually a separate pedestrian crosswalk and a separate green painted bicycle crossing proposed at each of those locations with accessible pedestrian signals and the latest in technology for improving those locations for bikes and peds. And that these crosswalks then allow the grade separated path to connect to the City of San Jose's Shady View Park, which is in the upper right-hand corner of the image, as well as to connect across Blossom Hill Road for access to Coyote Creek Trail and opportunities to extend on south along Coyote Creek Trail to other destinations in the Coyote Creek Trail chain. And then the last slide we have is some additional images of the architectural treatment at the east end of the project. The lower right is a perspective view looking from the Coyote Road intersection to the west along Blossom Hill Road. And it gives you a little bit of a better idea how the northbound on-ramp will drop down to go under the truss structure. And then the other couple of images are just some architectural treatment elements that have been incorporated into the project. That wraps up my portion of the presentation. Are you coming back, David, or you want to go right to Ray?
Yeah, no, thank you, Bill, Neil, appreciate that. So let's turn the mic over now to what to expect as far as construction and what we're going to be doing as far as mitigation. Ray, if you want to go ahead and start your portion.
All right, thank you, David. Good evening. I'm Ray Balado, and I'm the resident engineer for this project, responsible for construction management. So on the next few slides, I will be presenting what are the things we will expect during construction and what are the mitigation measures to be implemented. So, what to expect? There will be noise generated due to construction activities, and traffic will be impacted. Construction activities will include installation of temporary K-rail, concrete barriers, cross cushions, and other traffic control devices. During construction, expect lane and ramp closures, closures of sidewalk, and detours will be in place for alternate route due to ramp closures. There will be temporary striping and lanes will be shifted temporarily to accommodate construction. Heavy equipment will be used for removal of existing concrete pavements, asphalt pavements, and for excavation of new roadway, including for asphalt concrete paving. Expect dust will be generated from construction activities at various locations of the project. While driving for bridge foundation will be done at the new column and abutments of the 101 Blossom Hill Overcrossing. David, can you point out to the map? Right there at the center. And then also at the same time, while driving will be done at the southbound off-ramp and the southbound loop and ramp undercrossing. Expect trenching and installation of electrical equipment, including the installation of conduits for this project. Construction vehicles are equipped with backup alarm or beeping noise, which is required by Cal OSHA. So that's going to be expect to hear some noises coming from those construction vehicles. Due to restriction in lanes and ramp closures, which are only allowed during daytime, expect work to be done at nighttime. Okay.
Ray, I think you muted yourself.
Oh, sorry about that.
There you go.
All right. Thank you, David. So what are the mitigation things that we're going to be implementing for this project? Lanes and ramp closures are going to be done at nighttime to ensure safety of the traveling public and avoid traffic delays. Limited sidewalk closures to limit the inconvenience to the pedestrians. For traffic detours, there will be advance notification to be provided for traffic detours. Advance information signs, changeable message signs will be in place. And at the same time, this advance notification will be posted on VTA's website. Traffic advisories will be shared with the Traffic Bureau also and affected businesses to minimize delays. Next slide, David. Included in the contract, contractors is required to provide water trucks and street sweeping on a regular basis to control dust. And for pile driving for bridge foundation, it will generate noise and vibration. VTA will advise the local communities and about the schedule of pile driving. We will have that on our next slide, which will provide the schedule for pile driving, which is coming up probably in the next 3 weeks. In order to monitor vibration closely, there will be vibration monitoring devices installed on the affected properties nearby the area. There will also photo and video of the existing condition of the affected properties that will be done. And then as far as tree removal, there are 135 trees to be removed to accommodate construction. These are all listed in the contract plan. And these trees are located on the southbound off-ramp and the northbound 101 on-ramp, and at the same time on Blossom Hill Road. But as part of mitigation implementation, landscaping will be done with new trees and shrubs. I believe you've seen that on Bill's presentation earlier. All right, moving on to construction schedule. This is a 3-year project. There are 2 years for construction and 1 year for plant establishment. So construction already started this week and projected completion by winter of 2022. Following that, there will be 1 year of plant establishment. So the project will be completed by winter of 2023. These are all weather permitting. Next slide, David. All right, construction schedules. There are several stages and phases of construction for this project, but I will just focus on the completion of project milestones. First order of work will be the southbound off-ramp undercrossing. So we already started that work. I mean, we're gonna start that work soon, and projected completion by summer of 2021. Concurrent work will be done on 101 Blossom Hill Road overcrossing, and expected completion be by fall of 2021. By summer of 2021, construction will start on the southbound loop on-ramp undercrossing, which is expected to be completed by spring of 2022. Then concurrent work for that southbound loop on-ramp will be the northbound diagonal on-ramp pedestrian overcrossing, which is start summer of 2021, and it will be completed by summer of 2022. Work at Coyote Road will be done in summer of 2022. This will be approximately probably about 2 months of construction. And then as far as the bike path, after all the above milestones have been completed, contractor will continue working on the remaining segments of the bike path, and projected completion is by winter of 2022. And at the same time, highway planting will be also done by winter of 2022. Next slide, David. So for the upcoming major construction activities, which we said earlier, the pile driving is one of the major construction activity that will create noise and vibration. So pile driving at the 101 Blossom Hill Road is scheduled on September 30, and it will go for 1 month at Blossom Hill Road. And then after that, they will move to the southbound off-ramp, which will take about 15 days of pile driving operations. All right, that's about it, David. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ray. So it's a lot to digest, everybody. I completely understand, and we will definitely be able to toggle back to slides when you want a little bit more clarification on what's happening and where. Just a little side note, my wife takes this off-ramp from 101 off of Blossom Hill. So I will live with someone who will let me know exactly what's going on every day and how it affects her commute. So again, I am going to be the public communications specialist assigned to this project. So all the communication about the construction throughout this entire process is going to be coming from me. And you'll be getting milestone newsletters, emails. We encourage everybody to be completely aware of what's going on and how it affects them, what they see, what they hear, things like that. We're going to move on to pretty much how communication is going to be allotted to the community. First off, probably a lot of you had already received, because it mailed out to about over 2,000 businesses and addresses that are within 1 mile of this construction project, is a what I consider a milestone newsletter. What I consider milestone are those where we talk about a lot that's going on within a large period of time. Normally construction notices are talking about what's happening within the week or on this weekend. But what we want to do with these milestone construction notices is get as much detail as possible in one newsletter, because we can't constantly send newsletters to every community member for every change. So what we want to do is send these milestone newsletters with a large portion of what's going to be happening within a month. Kind of what Ray was sharing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep up with the construction schedule and send these out to everybody. What I also encourage everybody to do is visit the project webpage. You can see the website here, and I can always bring it back up. We encourage you to go and visit the project webpage if you have more questions about the project in general. We want to also share the community outreach email address. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns throughout this entire project period, I'll be monitoring this inbox regularly throughout this construction project. We also have the VTA Community Outreach's phone number. You can call at any time during regular business hours, and somebody will always be monitoring that mailbox. And whether I'm at the office or not, I have access to it. And we really encourage everybody that wants to be really updated on this project to subscribe for updates. Best way to be informed in the now as soon as possible is subscribing for project updates. If you haven't done it, so please visit the project webpage, and you'll look for the subscribe for updates icon in the lower right corner. By entering your email and clicking subscribe, it's going to prompt you to just confirm your subscription to an automatic email that's going to be generated towards the address you provide. That is how you subscribe for project updates. Our project, those who subscribe for updates get emails from me of the construction notice. So instead of going to VTA.org and searching for construction notices, these construction notices get emailed to you. All right. And with that, that's the presentation. Like I said, this is a virtual town hall for really to make sure that the community that's impacted the most, what the people that are going to see, the people that are going to hear, the people that are going to be impacted by their commute. We wanted to make sure that you are aware this construction is happening. We've moved past the vision, the planning, and we're really going to start shoveling and hitting dirt. But this is good. We're turning it over to you as far as an open discussion. We want to make sure that we are clear of what this construction is going to look like, the timeline, and how you can effectively communicate throughout this construction period. So what we're going to do is I've got a couple of help. Kathleen Podrasky with Community Outreach is going to be assisting me to make sure that we monitor hands that are going up as far as raised. And we're also going to go back and forth to the Q&A chat box and answer as many questions as possible. I will remind you, though, that the panelists here are specifically here to address this project. We are recording this, so I wanted to keep in mind as far as our etiquette. Just keep in mind that we want to be able to address your comments, your concerns on this project. We might be able to answer any questions that aren't related, but I don't want to promise that we're going to be able to answer every question about every project that VTA is involved in, because really we're here to talk about this and to make sure that the community that's impacted is aware. So with that, we're going to be moving on to Q&A.
I don't see any hands raised, David. So we'll go ahead and
I think I see one. Chris.
See one. Oh, one just went up. Okay, one just went up. So do you want to go back and forth? We'll do a raised hand and then go written and raised. Okay.
Absolutely. Okay, Chris, I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead and accept that. And if you want to give us your question.
Well, I have a couple comments. First of all, I'm an original homeowner in Coyote Creek, which means I moved in a long time ago. And Facebook was where I heard about this project. And David, I think this has to do with you. I received nothing about this project until, number one, I heard it on Facebook. Number two, I got the literature that you showed. It's just a comment, so not everybody got information on it. So I'd like to know, I didn't see Sergio's name under the board. Now he's our district representative, and I would hope that he's at least on this call listening, because he's responsible for District 2, which this is. So that also is just a comment. He needs to be involved in this. And I have no qualms about this needing to be done, since I moved in before even that overpass was there, and Coyote Road was one lane, both in and out. I mean, it was just one lane. You had to pull over in the dirt. So I've gone through all of that, but my biggest worry is the traffic, that widening Blossom Hill up to Silver Creek, and the traffic and the speed that's going to happen, because we've had major accidents at that signal of people, especially coming down from Silver Creek. Those people tend to think it's a speedway, and they go through the red lights, they go right through. You widen that up, and we've multiplied it quite a few times. And I want to know, number one, is there going to be police that are going to help us? We tend to get forgotten out here. The police aren't out here a lot. And I worry about the speeding. And if you put people, especially kids, on bikes, I need to know that they're going to be safe out there. And I don't know what's been prepared. And I do like progress, but I think we need to make sure that people are safe. That's the biggest thing. And especially our children, you're building a walkway which is going to handle walkers and bikes. Yes, that's terrific. I love that idea. But at what risk? Does anybody know the risk? Because if you looked at, I'm sure that you guys looked at traffic patterns when you were doing the surveying, and all of that would include the risks, the speed, the volume of cars, that you open it up to more cars, and even if there's not more cars, you've got more lanes, you're going to get more speed. They come off that hill and they don't care about the red lights. What is being done with that to make sure that our community is safe? That's one question. When this construction is going on, we probably will not be able to get onto Blossom Hill. We'll have to go back to Hellier. Is that correct? So I'll have to make a left on Coyote to get out to the freeway at Hellier. I'll have to go backwards. Is that a correct statement? Hello?
Chris, are you looking for an answer right now? I'm just writing down all your questions so we can answer them in conjunction.
Because
yeah,
we just went through a bunch of emergency warning for the fire, because the evacuation was to Hellier, actually. And we really only have a limited amount of ways in and out of our neighborhood. So if you totally block off the Blossom Hill, Coyote intersection, and we have to go the other way, if there's another fire, you've got all those houses now. I mean, we don't have a choice. We have to go one way. What is going to be considered on that?
Got it.
I just want to be safe. That's my biggest thing. I think this is a great deal, but I've got to make sure. Now, my third question, and I'm not giving you a chance to answer really, but
no, sorry, I'll write them down, and we'll try and tackle them as we can.
Old oak trees being cut down. That's another one. And is there money for landscape maintenance? You keep saying maintenance, it's all going to be really nicely, newly landscaped. Well, they did that in the median of Blossom Hill right at Coyote, and then they let it all die. because there was no money to water it. So is this going to be low cost, no water landscaping, or are you going to make it beautiful with plants, with flowers, and then just not plant them? That's a big frickin' waste of money. And I like it when it's all beautiful, but don't plant a bunch of stuff and then not water it and pull them out a year later.
Hey, Chris, I want to start tackling some of your questions here. So thank you very much. I'm actually going to defer some of these questions. So what we've heard is what are going to be the traffic control measures throughout this construction? Are we going to have PD or flaggers? I want to be able to defer that to Ray, who's going to be kind of managing the construction. Ray, what is our traffic control measures going to be during this construction period?
Hi, David. Yeah, there will be traffic control devices. Flaggers will be also employed and take care of the some traffic delays there. Yes, once in a while we will have I will talk to Neil if we can have presence of police during construction. But during construction on the freeway, there will be what we call it a COSIP, where we have CHP presence during lane closures or ramp closures on the freeways. So,
okay.
David, can I add to that briefly?
Absolutely, Bill.
Part of Chris's question was whether the connection of Coyote Road to Blossom Hill Road is closed during construction. And, the contract documents that were put out, limit the hours when any closures can be made. Most of the lane closures and ramp closures are at night, and detour plans are provided in each case. Other than some very isolated situations, the connection from Coyote Road to Blossom Hill is intended to be maintained throughout construction.
Thank you. That was actually going to be my next question. And this question I'm going to defer to San Jose, since the city of San Jose was kind of the architect before construction period. Chris had brought up any kind of risk assessments being done. Neil or Bill, if you can answer that, as far as the planning period, were risk assessments done?
In terms of landscaping, we actually do have funding for the maintenance. So that one's already been taken care of. Bill, I don't know if you want to add on to in terms of the landscaping part.
Yeah, no, the landscaping question, unfortunately, a number of trees are being removed, but they are largely being replaced. What one of Caltrans' requirements is that they be maintained by a contractor for 3 years. So OC Jones is required to maintain those plants for 1 year after they're installed. And then VTA will hire a second maintenance entity to water and maintain for another 2 years to make sure all of the trees get as well established as possible. The other one, jumping around a little bit, maybe just to kind of try and respond to Chris's question about traffic studies and safety and risk. In conjunction with the project, we do a lot of traffic analysis. So we are, well aware of the volumes that are out there, and all the facilities are designed to accommodate them. As in terms of pedestrian bicycle safety, I want to just emphasize that, the current condition is, bikes are out in the street, riding with the cars along the shoulders. There's a 5-foot existing sidewalk along the north side that has, at-grade crossings of both of the ramps. And I've walked up and down there a number of times, and, walking across the northbound on-ramp is scary. Anyone that allows their children to go out there is going to be scared by that situation. And we are eliminating those at-grade crossings. We are eliminating the need for bicyclists to ride along Blossom Hill Road from Coyote Road all the way to Monterey Road. so that there is substantial benefit for safety of bicycle and pedestrians throughout the interchange. The speed is definitely an issue that we're aware of out there. But I mean, that's really more of an enforcement issue, and I think you ought to continue working with the city and the city council member to make sure that there's adequate enforcement.
Thank you. That actually does remind me, Chris had brought up making sure that Councilmember Sergio Jimenez's office is aware of this project. He is, in fact, he did register to attend this meeting, and we've been kind of keeping our eye out for his name, and I don't see it here. But Chris, to answer your question, yes, Councilmember Jimenez's office is aware of this project, and we're actually going to be encouraging him to share any project updates with his constituents, as well as any kind of email newsletters that he sends out. So thank you for asking that, so everyone else knows. I don't see anybody else's hands up, and I know that our Q&A is kind of stacking up, so we want to move on. If Kathleen, we want to transition from looking for raised hands and go on to the Q&A.
I am. I'm going to try to keep this more to the construction or the project or design related. So San Jose, question for you. Does the City of San Jose know that there is a Caltrans station adjacent to the first City of San Jose urban village below the bottom of the picture? This is, sounds like from the beginning of the slideshow, which shows the Caltrain parking lot on Ford Road.
Let's see, maybe I can move it. There you go.
Thank you. I think that's just a yes or no. I think that's just a pointing that out. And
yes, we were aware.
Thank you, Neil.
Yeah.
And next one, it looks like a clarifying question. The distance between Ford Road and Coyote Creek is 650 feet, not 3,000 feet. I'm not sure what part of the presentation that was in. Looks like it was a clarifying. Let's see, looks like we have some concern on, maybe it's a design question. Why are you connecting the homeless encampment under Highway 101 to the back of the Arco station on Monterey Highway? And this is a related question. Do you see any potential security issues with 2 bike and pedestrian tunnels connecting a homeless encampment to the back of an Arco station frequented by the homeless?
Yeah, let's go ahead and address, because I know the project has identified some homeless encampments. Do we want to give an update on where we're at as far as addressing homeless concerns throughout this project area? That's a Neil or Ray question.
Hey, Ray, you're more been in contact with both our City of San Jose and Caltrans in terms of homeless encampments.
Yeah, regarding
let me address this question. This is Zaire Guzada. I'm the division manager, and I oversee the project delivery teams. We have a lot of projects that we develop, and there are a lot of impacts that we try to resolve, and those impacts are safety related. They're related to connecting. In this case, connecting our trail system to the pedestrian generators, the neighborhoods. So in between all of that, there's going to be those issues that you have raised, which is the homeless issue. I think those are being addressed as a city-wide issue. It's not just a local Blossom Hill project issue. So as such, we are trying to address it as a city, and we are building. If you, you don't have to look too far from here. If you just look down to where Burnell is, in that loop, the city is building housing for homeless related services and so forth. So I think the city is tackling this issue. It's definitely too large for the project to tackle it, but we are doing what the project is intended to do, which is to provide a safety path that will connect the Coyote Creek Trail to the other side of the freeway, which right now is frankly a barrier. There's a school on one side, and those students have to negotiate those signals to cross to the other side. So this will provide a continuous path to those neighborhoods. So yes, we recognize that there are issues, homeless issues that are much bigger than this project, and we recognize those. And I think as a city, we are trying to tackle those, but they won't be solved overnight, and they won't be solved with this project. But little by little, we are trying to do our best to address those issues. Excuse me. I'm hoping I answered that question pretty well.
Thank you, Zahir. Another construction one. Have you considered, I hope I say this right, Geiken silent piles for noise and vibration mitigation?
Let me start with that, and then maybe Ray or the construction people can add in. But I'm not a structure or pile driving expert, but I want to assure everybody that, I mean, our team included one of the top bridge structural engineers and one of the top geotechnical engineers in the state. And they worked very closely with Caltrans to make sure that the design met all of the requirements. And among those requirements, I mean, the soil conditions at a given location are a very key factor in the choice of piles. At this location, since we're only a few miles from, or excuse me, a few hundred feet from the creek, there's a lot of gravel deposits below grade that may influence whether that technology is suitable or not. Like I said, I don't know more specifically than that what the answer is. Ray, do you have any other thoughts you want to add on that?
No, Bill. I don't know if David is online. He's our bridge engineer, but I don't have any additional comment on that.
Okay, thank you. How long will the southbound off-ramp be closed to traffic?
You want that one, Ray? You want me to start?
You can start, Bill.
Yeah. Well, and this like all the other elements on the project the plans do detail when they can close ramps. In order to build the structure under the southbound off-ramp, we'll actually build a detour moving traffic over, so, and installing a temporary signal so that once the detour, I mean, the ramp will be probably closed during the night to set up the detour, open up in the morning, and then the detour will be operational until the bridge is built and then traffic put back on the bridge. So the off-ramp is intended to only be closed on a number of nights after peak traffic is already passed. And when it is closed, there are detours specified that will route traffic further down the freeway off at Bernal and in either using the freeway or local streets back to their destinations.
Okay, next one is a comment. Looks awesome, huge improvement. Another comment, this construction will impact every community between Evergreen and the Santa Teresa foothills. Question, I may have missed this, but what is the history of this project? Whose idea was it? Will this make Xander's Crossing obsolete?
I'm probably well equipped to talk about the history. I touched on it briefly. Some of the original concepts for ramp and intersection improvements date all the way back to about the year 2000 when the Edenvale area development policy was first established. The area development policy was amended at least 6 or 8 years ago to include a bicycle and pedestrian separated facility on the north side of Blossom Hill in the time frame that the city updated their general plan and emphasized accommodations of bicycles and pedestrians. Early in the project, when we began our studies, we did investigate some additional alignments just as alternatives, perhaps building the facility on the south side of Blossom Hill Road or using Ford Road as a connector. But the decision made by the city was that primarily for consideration of safety of bicyclists and pedestrians, for service to the neighborhoods where the existing bikes and peds are coming from, you know, as well as compatibility with the neighborhoods, that the alignment that had been previously identified on the north side was still the best choice. It will not make Xander's Crossing obsolete. As we discussed, we're expanding bicycle and pedestrian facilities along Monterey Road from Xander's Crossing to connect to this new grade separated trail. So it should actually substantially benefit and enhance use of Xander's Crossing.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Kathleen, we got a hand raised, so let's go ahead and move to that hand raise. Maria Thompson, if you go ahead and accept the unmute and go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, hi. I just had a quick question about the pedestrian like overpass and the tunnels you guys are talking about. I want to just find out the lighting situation. If are they going to be well lit, and what that situation is going to be about.
Again, I'm probably the best guy to respond to that. There is a separate lighting system along the bike ped facility that includes, and they're not like, you know, street lights. They're shorter poles that are about, I think, 16 foot high, and they're spaced at about 80 feet apart. And they're designed specifically for lighting the bike path from one end to the other. Where we go down and under the two undercrossings, there will also be soffit lights that are installed underneath in the bottom of the concrete overhead to also provide illumination to those sections that are not well lit from the above grade facilities.
Thank you, Bill.
Great. And
I actually wanted to add on, Bill, just on that one as well. Bill, if you don't mind talking about the actual design of the slope, how we want to, during the day, we're letting in natural light, because that was a big discussion when we were designing this project. If you can talk a little bit about that, especially the undercrossing.
David, if you could page through the slides, so probably 5 or 6 slides to
that one
right there. Go back. This is a kind of a rendered image. It doesn't have all the detail of the undercrossing of the southbound off-ramp. So as you head from Monterey Road toward Coyote Creek, the first bridge that you see will be this. And the bike path itself is at the base of that is about 16 feet wide. And we have sloped areas that go up for about half the height, so that the total span of this undercrossing is, I think, about 34 feet across from one wall to the other. And it's definitely more costly to build at that length. You could build essentially a 10 by 10 box culvert to accommodate, you know, bikes and peds. There's enough width in a you know 12 foot wide by 10 foot high little square tube to meet all the standards. But the project is actually spending more to make sure that those crossings are as open and light as possible. And as you look through this opening, on the other side of the first bridge, there's an open space where we do get light and air. And then the bike path goes under a separate structure under the next bridge. So as Zahir indicated, I mean, we've gone to great lengths to try and maximize the openness and the sense of light and air underneath the structures by going quite a bit beyond minimum standards for these type of facilities.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Will the coyote, I think we kind of, we've already, I think we touched on this, but let me just ask it again, make sure everybody is clear on the response. Will the Coyote Blossom Hill entrance exit from our neighborhood ever be blocked off from use during construction?
Again, maybe just to reiterate what I said, there will potentially be some times at night when it needs to be partially closed, but full detours were provided. The intent is, through every day throughout the duration of construction, the connection to Blossom Hill Road should be maintained.
Great, thank you. David, I'd like you to answer this one. Will there be a groundbreaking ceremony that the public can attend?
So that really depends on where we're at in what, 2 years? And we've had
groundbreaking. That's
oh,
before
I'm sorry,
construction.
groundbreaking.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
already forward thinking. Unfortunately, no. VTA has gone back and forth on what we normally do, which is groundbreakings, gold shovels, elected officials, and photo opportunities. That's not the case right now. We have to just inform the community what we're doing and push forward. I would love to find out eventually that we have the green light to do ribbon cuttings, but to really answer that question quickly, the answer is no, there will be no groundbreaking ceremony for this project.
And unfortunately, it's due to COVID. Before COVID started, we were gearing up to have a year of groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings. Right now, that's just all on hold. All right, next one, I think this is a City of San Jose question, maybe for Neil. Were there community meetings during the planning process?
Yes, we went out to the community both in 2016 and 2017. And we also did a meeting with the Coyote Creek Neighborhood Association, what do you call it, more specific towards them, but we have gone out to the community on those days or those years. And Bill, if you want to add on to it.
No, I think that's a good answer. I mean, we had, if David didn't say it earlier, I mean, the intent was to hold another community meeting about the time that we had the plans approved. We're beginning to advertise for construction and let everybody know that this was coming. We had some tentative dates in March, and obviously that all got shut down. And unfortunately, in lieu of that, we're doing this virtual meeting to communicate as best possible under the circumstance.
Okay. Let's see. We must have answered part of one question. And then the second part was, by vision, I mean that there won't be cars passing walkers and bikers. And so I'm sorry if we answered the first part and I didn't see the second part in time, because I'm missing the vision part. So if you want to reiterate your question again, go ahead. Yes, we are aware we are having some technical difficulties with YouTube. The feed is not working. That is correct. And I apologize. We did have 2 people waiting and they're trying to get in. Homelessness has been an issue in this area lately. Have any measures been put into place to deter homeless individuals from settling in the new bike pedestrian path?
I'll just take this one again. I think we will work internally with our city departments to address homelessness kind of on a city-wide basis. We are definitely, as we're designing this project, we're designing this project in a way that will attract folks. In other words, connecting Coyote Creek Trail to Xander's Crossing, to that neighborhood, to with the shopping center that you see just below down there by Xander's Crossing, the Caltrain station. So there's a lot of things that this project does. Unfortunately, some things are a little bit bigger than
Zahir, it sounded like you got cut off. What happened? Are you still there? Or you're okay?
I might accidentally push mute.
Okay. All right. So there was a comment asking if there was a time limit for the comments and questions. We have until 8 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah. So just a reminder, we have a hard stop at 8, so we really want to try and plow through these questions as much as possible. But I will say this: if we don't get to your question, if we don't get answering your question, we do encourage you again to visit the project webpage and email community outreach, and we will definitely follow up with you if it's related to this project, or we'll defer it to somebody who can answer your question.
I apologize, I read that wrong. It was, can we please have a time limit for comments and questions?
Hard stop at 8.
And also let's try to limit on the verbal comments, you know, 1 question per hand, and you can always raise your hand again.
We will pause for a second. It looks like we do have a hand raised. It looks like Councilmember Jimenez is here and he has his hand raised. So Councilmember Jimenez, if you'd like to speak.
Are you able to hear me?
There you go.
Yes, we are.
Ah, there you go. Sorry, I'm joining a little late. I was at my son's soccer practice, just getting online now. I just wanted to make clear, because I think there's been some confusion in the community that this was my meeting. I'm joining. I'm typically one of the guests and the panelists. I actually just I'm a guest like everyone else, so I haven't caught some of the questions prior to this, but I did catch the homelessness question. I think I forget exactly who it was from VTA. I think that said this is a broad-ranging issue. Obviously, the city's grappling with it day in, day out. We're striving to do the best we can to address it. I'm full, you know, even prior to being elected, I was at some of the meetings in which we talked about some of the designs here. And I know there's been concern about, I think, the undercrossing, the pedestrian undercrossing and things of that nature, fears that some homeless would gather there. If anyone that lives in the area is fully aware, you're fully aware that there are some homeless that camp out right at the exit, the southern, the exit going south on 101 off Blossom Hill Road, right there, right off the overhang there, right off the side of the freeway in the exit lanes. And so very much on our mind for all the District 2 residents on the line. As you all know, we're actually building 2 bridge housing communities in this district. One's on Burnell, Monterey, the other one's Rue Ferrari and Silicon Valley Boulevard. And so we're going to be housing close to 200 individuals that are connected in the continuum of care within the county. And so I'm doing everything I can to try to get priority to some of the folks that are living in the creeks by our freeways and such. And I know we're actively working with Caltrans to try to reach an agreement to expedite the cleaning up of certain sites, especially, for example, the site behind the old Walmart right by the gym that's outlined there, that's here near Blossom Hill Road. But any specific questions, I'm here. So I just, more than anything, wanted to say that I'd be happy to answer anything that's related to the city.
Thank you, Councilmember Jimenez.
You know, maybe this would be a great time to direct this next one. There have been several questions about the homelessness and the design related to the homelessness. And so this next one actually was written in, and it's just about that. And it was about, it was a response to a previous question, and it was saying, so making young children walk and bike through 2 tunnels connecting a homeless encampment to the back of the ARCO station frequented by homeless is safer. And that was a question mark. You kind of walked into that one. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, well, one, I'm very familiar with the ARCO station. My mom lives around the corner. I'm by there every single day. I don't, no, it's okay. Right behind the ARCO station, as you can see on the map, there's a mobile home community. I don't think there's an encampment right next to the ARCO station, but I suspect they're referring to what I was mentioning earlier, up against the sound wall between the roadway that leads down to Monterey and those mobile home parks, mobile home community. I think it's safe to say that it's nobody's desire to to put kids directly in the path of folks that that are maybe doing some wrongdoing. Goes without saying that if anything's seen or witnessed as it relates to that, please call the police. You know, I think it's also important to say that like every other resident of the city, the homeless individuals, whether you're living out of your car, whether you're in a shelter, you have the right, and some folks may not like this, but you have the right to roam the city. I mean, you're a free citizen. And so to the extent any of those people, including any of us on the call, right, are doing anything wrong or inappropriate, I can rest assured that I talk to the Southern Division. You can rest assured that I talk to the Southern Division captain of the police department often about some of these incidents, and they will bring down to bear the full extent of the law on anyone that's doing anything related to, you know, whether it's, you know, trying to accost some people that are walking down the street or causing damage or stealing, anything like that is going to be enforced. And so the rules just don't cease to exist simply because we're building this. And so, but it's also recognizing, and you can ask the police chief, this is, we can't arrest our way out of this. And I think no other council member is interested in sort of criminalizing being poor and living on the street. If they're doing something wrong, certainly we'll do everything we can to get them off the street. And we're trying to move them into housing. But, you know, I understand the frustration and the sentiment from the residents.
Thank you. You know, this is a kind of a good segue follow-up. Are there any measures being put into place that would deter homeless individuals from settling into the new bike or pedestrian path?
Well, I mean, with regard to design, I'll leave that VTA. I don't, you know, I don't recall the intricacies of every component of the design, but I was in on the meetings when this was first discussed and what eventually came out of this. And, but I would suspect that, you know, I've ridden my bike on many roadways across the city, North San Jose, all the way to Morgan Hill, Hellier Park, Coyote Creek. And I can tell you that there certainly are homeless individuals that exist along some of these trails, but I don't think I ever remember seeing a homeless individual camped out right on the trail itself, like on the roadway, on the path, on the paved trail. And so, you know, does this design have the potential to maybe provide some spaces where some folks can linger or, you know, pitch a tent? I would leave that to VTA. I'm not sure if that's been analyzed, but, you know, certainly we don't want anyone's experience on this trail to be impacted negatively.
Yeah, let me add, again, this is Zahir Guzada, I'm with DOT. In terms of the design, again, as I mentioned earlier, and Bill kind of went through each of the undercrossing, this thought behind how we designed this, kind of looking outside the box, not the traditional box looking, cobalt looking undercrossing. We really, at the city, as well as with the design team, we really wanted to address this issue because it has come up. This is not the first time that the undercrossing and the homelessness issue and the design issue has come up. This has come up a number of times. And as such, we are very much aware of it, and we were very much aware of it as we were doing the design. And that's why when you look at the design on this, even between, you know, it would be much cheaper for us to construct you know, one continuous undercrossing and have the on and off ramp that you see there on your left side of the screen there to be one long tunnel. It's much cheaper for us to do that, but we didn't do that because we wanted to let that natural light in. We wanted to slope the slopes back on the undercrossing so that the actual crossing itself on the shady that creates the shadow is minimized. So those thoughts were really, you know, the experience of the rider and the experience of the pedestrian was kind of at the front and center. One of the things that we're doing here is very unique on this project. The uniqueness of this project is that we are providing a connection that is completely separated, completely safe, completely connecting a very nice trail on the east side to a community that was not connected. They had to literally cross on and off ramps on Blossom Hill with thousands of cars competing for that same right of way. In this project, we have created space for each of those users. And as being that this was the first project, because we are trying to do this a different look at all of our regional highway projects, this was really, we wanted to do something that was unique here. And I think from, just looking at it, this is not a traditional on and off interchange project. Look at the features on this. It's really, aside from increasing that one lane in each direction on Blossom Hill, most of the work is happening on the pedestrian and the bicycle path. And that was very important to the city. And that is very important as we move forward, is because we do care about kind of the environment. We do care about the volumes on our streets. We do want to slowly move folks to use our trail system, to enjoy those facilities that we have. And this project kind of helps us do that. So definitely this idea of looking at the design and seeing how the design can help alleviate some of those issues was looked at. Thank you.
Okay, back here. Okay, are you aware that Mayor Liccardo has directed City of San Jose DOT to improve the connectivity between the jobs in Edenvale Business Park to the Blossom Hill Caltrain station? Guess that's a City of San Jose one.
I don't know if if the DOT wants to answer that, but I think it's everyone's desire to connect the jobs to both sides of 101. We realize there's a lot of jobs on both the eastern and western side of 101 and the Edenvale Technology Park, both the new part and the old part. And I suspect the person that asked this is probably Roland. And I think Roland really has been around for a while and has some experience. So he's typically right on most things. So I assume that's the case. And I think it's everyone's desire to make sure there's increased connectivity as it relates to spaces on each side of the freeway.
Okay. Was this intersection chosen mainly for adding bike lanes? Because vehicle traffic here is never heavy, so adding a new vehicle lane seems unnecessary.
Let me take this one again. This was again part of the Edenvale development policy. As part of the development that came in, as part of that, there were studies that were done in terms of the expected traffic. So those mitigations were identified, and this was one of those mitigation that the funding went to. So there was. The thinking, the idea of the development coming in really provided a nexus for that increase in traffic lanes, but the wider movement in the city to make our roadway safer really advanced the design of the elements, the green elements that you see there, which are the peds and bike. So yes, originally while the policy did call for additional lanes because of the expected traffic volume generated by that development, but looking at the broader project, it was also important that we provide that connectivity again from the Coyote Creek over to Xanders, and even from going from, if you don't use Xanders, you can continue on to Ford Road and cross over to the Caltrain station. And then there's another POC that will take you over to the Edenvale development area. So there's multiple ways here that we're trying to connect here. We're trying to connect the destinations that people may want to go shopping before they cross over on Xanders to the other side. So that will facilitate folks coming from that area and maybe picking up a few items at the store or whatever they may want to do, and then continue on to the other side of the west side of Monterey. So it's really important, although the lanes add to the capacity, vehicle capacity, the important elements again on this project is the ped and bike elements that you see here.
Great, thank you. Do you expect heavier traffic along the southbound off-ramp during peak hours during construction?
I could take a quick stab at that. We don't expect that traffic will be any heavier than normal. With as much communication to the public as VTA plans to do, we hope that people will understand that construction is ongoing, and if they have other routes they can take to their destination, they would avoid the area. But the project is, the construction is designed to accommodate all existing traffic during construction.
Okay. Are the bridges lit?
And again, I think we touched on the pedestrian facilities underneath the bridges. The bridges themselves on the surface are not currently lit, and lighting is not provided for the vehicular bridges over 101.
Thank you. Okay, I wanted to make sure I'm getting mostly the construction ones first, and then I'll go to the comments, I think. Okay, comment. As per community request, thank you for including the natural beauty of the area by highlighting the historic oaks within the design of the bike path with oak leaves. Very beautiful. Thank you for a great meeting. And I'll go to the other comments. Just make sure I'm
Kathleen, just wanted to let the audience know we're coming up on the half-hour mark, so we're going to try and get to these last comments as quickly as possible. If there's anyone on the line that is dialed in through their phone, again, just want to remind you to you want to press *9 to raise your hand, and we'll be able to answer those questions.
Okay. Great connection to the trail on the east side of 101, Highway 101. Thank you. That was them saying thank you, not me. Okay, and then I'm going to go back up real quick. Roland, thank you for the link to the Geiken file drives. Let's see. Are you aware that the $7 million used to do the initial design for this project came from the development agreement for the ISTAR project and were specifically earmarked to improve the connectivity to the Caltrain station?
I'll take that question again. The answer is yes.
Okay. And why did you stop the Q&A visibility to all questions by participants? I believe it's visible. I don't understand that.
I think the questions are, when you answer them, the questions move to the answer side, maybe.
Oh, that's so I can keep track of, so I know it's been answered. Yeah.
Yeah, so you may need to click or ask that question, may want to go above up there and say, click on the answer tab, and you'll see the questions that were posted. At least that's my window.
I did that so I can keep track of, I don't want to repeat questions. Let's see. Okay. Mayor Liccardo specifically made this request at the end of the DOT presentation to full council. Zahir was present. I'm not sure what that's about. Sorry, Roland. The $5 million pedestrian overcrossing built by Hitachi for the Blossom Hill Caltrain station connects directly to Ford Road, which would connect directly to a 650-foot pedestrian overcrossing to Coyote Creek and the Edenville Business Park. Okay. And now the Q&A is visible now. Okay, I didn't do anything, so I guess someone else fixed that. Thank you, whoever did that. Okay, I'm trying to think, are there any more construction ones?
I don't see any.
No?
No.
Okay. Going once, going twice. Roland, thank you for responding to the woman who lives on Coyote Creek. And, okay, David, do you want to?
Yeah, so again, if, I think we'd had one more from Daryl.
There's a tree one, yeah.
Post removal of numerous trees within the project, what type of trees are being planted? Ray or Bill, have we identified the types of plants? I think I saw a list, but I do not remember the trees that we are having to replace.
The planting plans are very specific. Off the top of my head, I don't remember all the types. I think there's a lot. There are some varieties of oaks. You know, with current landscape design and state requirements, there's a real priority on doing drought tolerant trees as much as possible. And that constrains the type that can be used. But, you know, if there's a desire to follow up with Daryl on the specifics, we can put some information together or talk with Daryl on that.
And I just wanted to come back to this slide to remind everybody, specifically the community that's going to be the most impacted by what they see here. Like my wife is going to be driving into this intersection off ramp every day to go to work. We want to remind you that to please visit the project webpage, subscribe for updates so you get email notifications and not having to wait for any mailers that come in. That way, myself, who's going to be assigned to this project, is able to connect with you immediately. I encourage you to use the community.outreach@vta.org to email any questions, comments, concerns throughout this project period. You also have the community outreach phone number available to you here. And all this information is on the newsletter you should have received. Again, this first milestone newsletter went out to 2,000 residents, kind of kicking off this construction project. And I have everyone's address. And if you received a newsletter, you will receive another one when we hit another benchmark milestone on this project. I want to thank our panelists for providing as much information as possible so our community knows exactly what's going to be happening outside their windows. I want to thank Council Member Sergio Jimenez for joining us. And again, I'm looking forward to being a part of this project and part of this community with you guys. And if we did, well, it looks like we have a, well, I don't want to ignore it, but I think we got a couple of extra Q&As. But if hopefully, if you got as much information as you did to understand what this project is going to be about, great. Otherwise, I think, you know, we have a hard stop at 8 and I don't want to cut off early if we have more questions. So wanted to make sure we get to these.
I am going to ask that we refrain from calling out city staff. No one city staff member spends funding, okay? But if you want to talk about how funding was earmarked and why funding was used to connect homeless encampment, I want to refrain from personal attacks like that. We want to really keep this to the project itself, okay? So let's not go there. We have a code of conduct. We're going to follow it this evening. If you can't follow it, we're going to end it.
Yeah, and we really, this community meeting is about the impacts to the community. So I wanted to try and really focus on community and construction related questions. We have one question: will traffic along Highway 101 be impacted by the construction? It's quite heavy already pre-COVID, northbound direction in the morning. So as far as traffic impacts on the highway, have we identified what the traffic impacts going to be like on 101? Ray or Bill?
Maybe I could just sort of jump in on that for starters. I mean, the project again is designed to accommodate the traffic on 101 during construction. The element that has the most effect on 101 is widening of the overcrossing, the Blossom Hill Road overcrossing. There's currently 2 existing structures, and we're basically building a 3rd structure in the middle and tying them together. For that work, there's a couple operations where traffic needs to be detoured from the freeway. Again, those are only done at night. During the daytime, the full freeway lanes will be open. There will be, during the duration of the overcrossing widening, not the entire duration of construction, but 6 to 9 months of it, or of the 2-year duration, there will be K-rails placed along the side of 101 as you go under that structure. But the design of that traffic handling is intended to fully accommodate all of the existing traffic on 101.
Thank you, Bill. And with that, I think we can go ahead and start wrapping up. Again, I want to thank all the community for coming out and subscribe so you can get notified as we move forward with any construction activities. We will be sharing this recording with the community, anyone that subscribed for project updates, and we will post this presentation on the project webpage as well, so that anyone that missed it, or you want to share this presentation with anyone that missed it, you're going to be able to feel free to do so. So with that, I want to wish everybody a peaceful night. Hopefully everyone had some dinner or on their way to dinner like myself. And I want to thank everybody for participating. So thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate your help.